The United States House of Representatives has passed a bill to increase direct COVID-19 relief payments from $600 to $2,000, endorsing a measure that was demanded by US President Donald Trump. But it still faces an uphill battle in the Senate. That's where Republicans hold a majority. The vote comes a day after Mr. Trump finally signed off on a $900 billion pandemic relief package, which he initially refused to sign, calling it a disgrace. But it's unclear whether the Senate will pass such a measure, as Republican lawmakers have resisted increasing the payments. The Democratic-controlled House also reached a rare bipartisan vote to override the president's veto of an annual military policy bill, which authorizes a pay rise for the nation's troops. Now, the 322 to 87 vote saw more than 100 members of the president's own Republican Party siding with the Democrats. Sarah Walton joins us live now for more on this story. Sarah, the ball's now in the Senate's court. Will we see the first veto override of the Trump presidency during this, the final weeks that Donald Trump is in office?
Yeah, that veto is widely expected to be overturned when it's voted on in the Senate this week. The bill had very large bipartisan support when it was first passed by Congress. The president's opposition to this bill is that it contains a clause that protects social media sites from being held responsible for what users say or write on their platform. President Trump says that they don't deserve that because he's accused those social media sites of being biased against him and biased against conservatives. But this defence bill, is so much bigger than that. It contains things like approving a pay rise for members of the military, and it authorises more than $700 billion worth of money for military programmes and construction. So it has a lot of support. As you say, this would be the first time his veto has been overridden by Congress. I think in this late stage of his presidency, it doesn't really do him much political damage, but it does just add to this sense of chaos that everyone's feeling in the last few weeks of President Trump's time in the White House.
Another point that has been a big issue is waiting for that second pandemic package. Let's talk a bit about that, Sarah. What's the likelihood of the Senate approving that bigger check, for $2,000 now?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one, perhaps more interesting than the defence bill, because even though President Trump is very much for these larger direct payments, his own party, the Republicans, are not. Republicans are traditionally budget hawks, deficit hawks. They don't like how much more money this is going to cost America, and it would cost billions of dollars more to increase those payments to $2,000. But it's a very popular move with the public. I mean, who wouldn't want a larger check, particularly if you've been unemployed for many months because of the coronavirus pandemic? And this is coming at a difficult time for Republicans because, remember, they are facing runoff elections for two crucial Senate seats in Georgia next week. So they don't want to be seen as the mean, penny-pinching party when they're trying to get people to come out and vote for them. Now, when this was passed in the House on Monday, there were 44 Republicans that actually crossed the line, as it were, and voted in line with the Democrats. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that we could see Republicans in the Senate do the same as well. Whether it's enough, we'll have to wait and see.
This is going to be a tricky one for Republican lawmakers to negotiate. Meantime, Sarah, there's also a bit more drama between Mr. Trump and Biden, the president-elect accusing Mr. Trump's aides of stalling on the presidential transition now.
That's right, yes. We saw Joe Biden actually put a video of a speech on his Twitter account on Monday night, basically saying that his team is not getting key information on national security issues. And he says it's nothing short of irresponsible. Now, we haven't heard directly from the White House on this, but the Pentagon has said that it is being transparent during this transition period. But this is a really important issue. Just to give you some context to explain this, there was a report out a couple of months ago that actually said that the 9/11 terrorist attacks here in New York in 2001 were contributed to by the delay in the transition that followed the election in the year 2000, the year before. There was a contested result between George W. Bush and Al Gore. And that delay in the transition meant that there were some security, anti-terrorism posts that weren't filled, and that led to gaps in intelligence about the threats facing the US at the time. Now, fast forward 20 years to where we are now, the US is facing, a rise in tensions across the globe. And if there isn't a smooth transition of power, the concern is that it would again leave the US vulnerable. So this is an important issue.
And meantime, every single day we march towards January the 20th and Inauguration Day. Sarah, thank you very much for that. Sarah Walton there reporting from New York City.